So I'm going to set up a brand new Zoom account because it's free. When's my birthday? I'm going to sign in with my personal account just because I already have one with my school account. And I now have a Zoom account. But I have to go in and personalize how I want my account to act. You can see here that you've got a menu bar over on the side, and you can see up here that you've got some meetings. So I could click here to see any of the previous meetings that I was in, which of course I wasn't because this is a brand new account. I could schedule a new meeting, or I can do a personal meeting room. When I click on personal meeting room, it's going to be called Leigh-Kathryn Smith's personal meeting room. I can schedule a meeting simply by clicking on here and setting it up through Google Calendar, and that's how I invite my participants. There's my personal meeting password, which I'm actually going to show you how to change if you want to, or you can just keep it as it is. It defaults to not having turned on enable join before host. And what that means is your students can't just go to this link and start the meeting on their own. You, the host, have to actually start the meeting, and then they will sit in a waiting room if you have this enabled. So I like to do that. That way there are students that I then have to click and admit into the room. I can copy the invitation right here. And this will be a live link that'll take them right in, and then they would need the password. So really there's not a whole lot to setting up a personal meeting room. It's there. You just need to know that you click on this. Now let's say I want to invite a person. So I'm going to click on the calendar. And yes, I have to allow it to view my calendar. So I'll click allow. I can change the date simply by clicking on the calendar and switch months if I want. I can set a time to be other than what it is currently. I can change again the date when it's going to end. So this again is my link. I can change notifications. I can add notifications if I want. I can take some away. I can change the color of the calendar, and I can choose which of my calendars I want to post this onto. I can add some messages here. I always like to add a blank return between the meeting ID and the password. Just it helps the password kind of stick out a little bit. But if I want to add some guests, I can add some guests. So I'm going to add my school self as a guest. And then I'm going to click on save. And it's going to say, would you like to send an invitation email to all the calendar guests? And I'm going to click on the fact that I do. So I'm going to click on send, and it's going to send it away. Here's my calendar, and here's the invite right here. And it will have just one link, and you can see by the hamburger helper hand that this is a live link that will take me right in there. And again, there is space between my password and that I've turned on notifications. If I was the guest, I could click on yes, I want to go, or no, I don't. On my personal calendar, I'm going to respond to this invite. And I'm going to say, yes, I'm coming to this meeting. Refresh my screen. And so now I'm going to go back into this, and I can see that my other email address, my school email address, has accepted it. So that if you're asking your students to RSVP, they're going to click yes, no, or maybe, and then you can see what the status is of each of those people. Now, let me go back to Zoom. Once I'm in my personal meeting room, all I have to do is click Start Meeting. And it's going to open. So the important thing is to start your meeting, you have to be logged into your account in Zoom. So if this screen happens to come up, you'll notice that I am not muted, but my video is turned off. So I'm going to turn that on, and then you will see yourself on the video. As the person running the meeting, obviously you can look at your participants, and you can have feedback here. You can mute all of them if there is some feedback, or if there is conversation that is going on in somebody's background. You can unmute all. There is a more button here that you can lock the meeting. You can mute participants on entry. You can play the chime, so you'll hear like a ding dong when people are entering the room, but only you, the host, will hear that. Your participants will not. And then the other thing is to turn on the chat, and it shows up down here. You can add files if you want somebody to see something, or you can just show your desktop. You can change how people are going to participate in the chat. Another interesting thing that most people don't know is if you go into screen sharing, there are some advanced sharing options. So you can determine who's going to share their screen and whether it's only you can share or if multiple people can share at a time. You can tell it to record or not record, so I'm going to say record, and then you can see up here that it's recording. You can pause it or you can stop the recording, or that is also available down here. There are breakout rooms, which are pretty cool. I've used them with the students. Okay, so my other self is going to join this meeting. So there is the doorbell that my other account is joining, and I can see up here that they are wanting to be admitted into the room. So I can either remove them if I don't know them and I don't want them to join us, or I can just simply say admit. So I'm going to admit my other self. So I've muted my other self, but I can see that this is me and that is my other self over there. So basically that's how to run a personal meeting room and set it up and get it going. Let's go back here for a second. So under my account, to find your personal meeting room, you have to go into the link over here for meetings and then into personal meeting room. Now I had said that my password was this weird thing right here. I can go into settings and I can change that. So look at some of these settings, read about some of them, turn them on, turn them off. So again, this is the join before host. So allow participants to join the meeting before the host arrives. I do not use that. I do not have that turned on because I don't want the students to join before I am there. I don't want them maybe doing inappropriate things or sharing inappropriate things or what have you. So I've got the annotation turned on. I want to be able to use the whiteboard. You can choose whether you want to save the whiteboard contents or not. If you happen to have somebody joining your meeting or doing a Zoom bombing, if you turn this off, that does not allow people to rejoin after they've been removed. Under the meeting advanced is where the breakout rooms are. So this is turned on for mine and allow hosts to assign. So you can either assign people to different breakout rooms or you can do it on the fly while you are in a meeting. So require a password for personal meetings locked by admin. Password is this. So I'm going to click on the pencil right here because that invite had that weird whatever. So I'm just going to say Smith 305 since that's my room number. And I'm going to click on save. I'm going to change this and say save. So it's now Smith 305. So now if I go back into my meetings tab and I go back to my personal meeting room, and if I look at meeting password is now 305. And if I click on the copy and if I go into the invitation, you can see that my personal invitation password is now Smith 305, which might or might not be, depending upon what your password is, easier for the kids to remember. So again, personal meeting room right here, and I can join this meeting now, and I've rejoined this meeting. One thing when you go to leave, you're going to want to end meeting and end meeting for all, because if you just leave the meeting, you have left the meeting, but the meeting is still going. So you want to make sure you end meeting for all. That way you're not leaving the students in the meeting and they're still carrying on unsupervised. So I'm going to end the meeting for all. It's going to want to convert your meeting. So my class meetings, I'm saving these and then posting them into Google Classroom so that students who are not able to attend my weekly class meetings online via Zoom can listen to the recording and find out what we discussed and what they are doing for the upcoming week.